The man who solved his murder case after reincarnation, Toran Singh, also known as Titu, was born on December 11, 1982, in a military hospital in Baad, a village about 8 miles from Agra, Uttar Pradesh. Titu's father registered his birthday as December 10, 1982, due to a mix-up. Titu's mother recalls that he started speaking at 18 months old, saying unusual things like, "Tell my grandfather to take care of my children and wife. I am having my meal here, and I am worried about them." As he grew, Titu began insisting that he was from Agra and didn't know how he ended up in Baad. He often complained about having to walk or take the bus, saying he used to travel by car, which puzzled his family. This case is about a young Indian boy who remembered a past life as a violent criminal. It's an example of replacement reincarnation, where the previous person's death occurs after the start of the new pregnancy or birth. Reincarnation researcher Antonia Mills investigated Titu's case as part of her replication of Ian Stevenson's methodology. In the late 1980s, Antonia Mills accepted an invitation from Ian Stevenson to replicate his procedures for investigating apparent reincarnation cases. The Titu case is one of 10 she investigated, and contact had already been made between Titu's family and the family of the deceased person. Titu was the youngest of 6 children in his family. There was confusion regarding his birth date. Titu's mother was admitted to a military hospital a week before his birth, and the hospital records suggested a birth date of December 11, 1982. However, in 1987, Titu's parents thought he was 4.5 years old and gave his birth date as December 10, 1983. This discrepancy added complexity to the case. At 18 months, Titu began speaking and soon after said, "Tell my grandfather to look after my children and my wife. I am having my meals here, and I am worried about them." He claimed to be from Agra and did not know how he had come to Baad. Titu often complained about the family's lifestyle, comparing it to his past life, saying his former house was big, his wife had beautiful saris, and his sisters-in-law were educated. He lamented having to travel by foot or bus, claiming he used to go by car. During a visit to Agra, Titu mentioned he had a shop in Sadar Bazaar. He often cried, wanting to return home to see his brother Raja Babu and sister Sushila, and called his parents Gulu's parents, referring to his sister. In April 1987, Titu became distressed when his father went to Agra without him. He told a friend of his eldest brother that he had a shop of transistor radios and was a big smuggler and gunda, owning Suresh Radio. His brother and the friend found a shop named Suresh Radio in Sadar Bazaar and met Uma Verme, the widow of the shop's owner, Suresh Verme. Suresh had been a noted black market smuggler who was shot dead at about 30 years old on August 28, 1983. Suresh's family visited Baad to meet Titu. When Titu saw them, he recognized Suresh's widow, parents, and 2 of his brothers. He made accurate statements about Suresh's life, such as naming Suresh's children, describing trips, Suresh's home, and how he had died. Suresh's family continued to test Titu. On a trip to Agra, they took him to a shop that belonged to Suresh's brother instead of Suresh's shop. Titu was not deceived and correctly identified Suresh Radio. He recognized a photo of himself, pointed out where cash was kept, identified the manager, and noticed changes in the shop after Suresh's death. At Suresh's parents' house, Titu expressed a desire to stay with them. He recognized Suresh's children and features of Suresh's former house. In total, Titu made 15 verified statements before meeting Suresh's family and 31 afterward, with only 1 being incorrect. He correctly identified 10 people and 4 places. Moreover, Suresh's relatives noticed Titu had birthmarks matching Suresh's bullet entry and exit wounds. Titu had a circular birthmark on his right temple, like a bullet entry wound, and several small birthmarks on the back of his skull, similar to an exit wound. Titu also had a birthmark on the crown of his head, matching one Suresh had. The post-mortem report confirmed the entry wound was in the same place as Titu's birthmark, and the exit wound was behind his right ear. Titu's skull was somewhat deformed behind his right ear, a deformity his parents had noticed, but not connected to the shooting. Suresh's family noticed Titu shared many behaviors with Suresh. Titu was active, intrepid, and hot-tempered, similar to Suresh. Mills observed Titu beating another boy with a sugar cane in anger and threatening to shoot or kick a seller if he charged for a bangle Mills was interested in. Titu also acted as if he still owned Suresh radio when visiting the shop. Titu could operate a car's tape deck and drive a short distance, which he had never seen before. Suresh's brother supervised him as he worked the steering wheel, gas pedal, brakes, and clutch. The case raises the question of replacement reincarnation, where a person remembers a life of someone who died after they were born or conceived. Official records show Suresh was killed on August 28, 1983. Titu's birthdate is either December 11, 1982, or December 10, 1983. If the earlier date is correct, Titu's body was replaced by a newcomer after a brief illness at 8 months old, a concept known as prakaya pravesh in Hinduism. If the later birth date is correct, the replacement occurred in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy, making this case unique. Mills notes that the families and Indian media consider the case as simple reincarnation due to their lack of awareness of the anomalous dates. Mills suggests the presence of birthmarks at birth makes it unlikely Suresh's spirit entered Titu after birth. Reincarnation researcher James Matlock agrees, noting that 3 marks match the entry and exit wounds and Suresh's birthmark, but 3 marks on the back of Titu's head remain unexplained. Matlock posits Suresh's spirit forced another soul out of the fetus to avenge his murder, explaining the 3 marks and Titu's mother's illness during the 3rd trimester. Titu's case was popularized in the British magazine Reincarnation International and featured in a BBC TV news program in 1990. Indian media also reported the case, and an Indian film production company considered making it into a film. An article in India Today quotes Uma Verme, Suresh's widow, as saying, "I know it is Suresh, but I realize no purpose can be served. We can't have the same relationship again." Later, Titu chose a peaceful career path, earning a master's degree in yoga and naturopathy. Since 2012, he has worked as an assistant professor at Banaras Hindu University, teaching naturopathy and yoga therapy. Titu's story is fascinating and raises many questions about the nature of life, death, and reincarnation. His memories and behaviors strongly suggest a connection to Suresh Verme's life, offering a compelling case for those interested in reincarnation and the mysteries of human consciousness. For more intriguing stories and insights, subscribe to our channel, InfoBurst.